Hello, Larry BL again, and we are still discussing the lawn and garden tractor electrical systems. This is episode 4. This is where we will start getting interesting. We will start talking about the starting circuit, and we'll start with the high current side of the circuit. The high current side of the circuit is normally the larger wire part of the circuit. What we have here is the positive battery terminal and the positive cable coming down, coming into what we call the solenoid. The solenoid has a high current side, which is the large terminals. It also has a low current side, which is a field coil. We will do we will tear one of these apart later on in this segment when we start talking about the electrical devices. I do have one that I can sacrifice. This is nothing more than a large relay, but we call it a solenoid. The positive goes through the solenoid, coming out to the other large red wire, and comes up and connects to the starter. Okay, so that is the positive. That is the positive side of the starting circuit. The return side, or the negative side, is where the starter physically bolts to the engine, and then the engine is physically grounded to the frame, and the frame is physically grounded to the negative side of the battery. Okay, so as you can see here, frame, back to the engine, which grounds the starter. So when the solenoid is engaged through the key switch, and we will talk about the low voltage side, the high current comes through the solenoid and engages the starter. Similar is on this tractor. This is where we have the positive heavy wire comes down, and on this particular solenoid, which is a smaller version, the high current terminals are on top and the low current terminal is down here on the bottom. So then the high current terminal to the battery connects here, and then the other side of the solenoid comes down and goes down to the starter. Then on this particular tractor, the return ground comes back through the frame. Okay, and then the negative on this tractor comes down and is bolted to the frame here. So when the solenoid is engaged, the circuit is complete from positive down through the solenoid to the starter, back to the frame, back to the negative of the battery. Okay, that is the high current side. A couple things to note. You may have a fusible link in here, but on these particular tractors, it's all solid wire. There's no fuses on the starter side of this circuit. The only protection here is the solenoid. There is a possibility of a solenoid sticking, and in that case, the only option, or the recommended option, I would say at that point, if the engine or the engine starts and the starter continues to whir, is one option you have is take a non-metallic rubber mallet is usually good, and give this puppy a whack or two to see if you can free it up to make it unstick. Do not try to remove the battery terminals. Your other option is to either let it wind down. Do not try to grind the engine. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do other than trying to whack the solenoid to release that. So this is the charging circuit, or the starting circuits, on these two particular tractors. The next episode we will talk about the low voltage side, which engages the solenoid.